Hey you guys, welcome back to another Halloween makeup tutorial. This one's going to be on the Countess or Lady Gaga from American Horror Story Hotel. I love American Horror Story, but honestly you guys, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this new season. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about it, and I'm just going to hop right into the makeup. Alright, so for foundation I'm using my Revlon Color Stay in 150 Buff, and I'm just blending this in with my Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. And as for the wig, I bought it at Spirit Halloween and it ended up looking nothing like Lady Gaga's hair in the show, so just excuse how terrible it looks until the end of the video. Anyways, going in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills concealer, and I'm just going to apply this with my fingers. Basically, I'm looking at a reference photo of Gaga for this. She has really prominent cheekbones and her contouring is super strong, so I'm just making these under eye areas on my face really prominent, applying a lot of concealer there. You're going to want to use a concealer that is lighter than your skin tone to highlight these areas and make them look more prominent. I'm also dragging this down my nose because she does have a pretty prominent nose as well, and then just placing some on my chin and forehead. And then I'm using a flat foundation brush to blend this concealer in without losing the highlighted effect. So I still want it to look really bright underneath my eyes. Then I'm taking a dry beauty blender. I don't want it to be wet because I don't want to blend out the color too much, and I'm just going to blend this out some more. And as you can see, I'm taking that concealer at a really sharp angle past my eye towards my temple because that will give your face a more kind of tight look, and Gaga's somehow looks really tight. I don't know how else to describe that, but her face just looks really like tight and pulled back in this season. And then I'm taking this loose Cameo setting powder by Ben Nye. I'm just taking that on the same beauty blender, and I'm just going to set the concealer that I just did underneath my eyes. Also going to take it down my nose, everywhere else that we just placed concealer. And I'm applying a really extensive amount of this powder just because I feel like it gives you a more flawless look. So I'm just going to let that sit for a minute or two, and then I'm going to brush it away with this big fluffy brush by Suva Beauty. So for contouring, I'm going to take this Inglot 504 sculpting powder. This is the grayest toned sculpting powder or contouring powder that I've ever tried. So this really emulates a shadow, so that's why I'm using that today. I want it to look more like a shadow than a bronzer. Basically, I'm just going to really heavily contour, and I'm doing it at a really slanted angle as well. Like I said, it's just going to help out to look at a picture of her. She just has really crazy cheekbones in this season, and they kind of extend almost all the way to her mouth. And then I'm also continuing that underneath my jawline. And I'm just bringing it up towards my hairline and my temples as well. She's pretty bronzed and contoured up there as well. And then to make my cheekbones stand out even more, I decided to take a small flat shader brush, and I'm just going to dip it in just the tiniest amount of that contour shade, and then I'm going to apply it right at the very top of that contour, and this is just going to add some depth to the very top of my cheekbones. Now I'm going to move on to bleaching my brows, and the easiest way to do this is with some concealer and a spoolie brush. So I'm using my Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in Fairly Light, or Fair Neutral? I can't remember which one, I'll list it down below. And I'm just kind of lightly applying this over my eyebrows. I'm not putting too much product on, but just enough to cover the hair. Then I'm taking this spoolie brush by Smith Cosmetics, and I'm just going to brush it through. This is literally the easiest and quickest way to bleach out your brows. Now I'm just going to contour my eye socket and the top of the bridge of my nose. So I'm taking NYX Taupe, which is kind of like the Inglot powder that I used on my cheekbones, but it's a little bit warmer toned. And I'm just going to start carving out the eye socket area, and then I'm bringing it down towards the inner corner of my eye to kind of create the illusion of a wider top of the bridge of my nose. Since mine is kind of narrow, hers is a lot wider than mine, so I just wanted it to give that wider illusion. And then towards the end of my eye, I'm just going to swoop it down and then wing it up a little bit. And I'm just going to extend it just a little bit past my eye. Now I'm taking these two shades from the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D, and I'm just going to place this in the very lower part of the crease to add some more dimension. And then I'm mixing Creme Brulee and Frappe by Makeup Geek, and I'm just going to place this all over the lid. She just kind of has a nice warm, light tan color all over her lids. And I'm extending this all the way out to the very wing of the cut crease area. I'm grabbing a small angled brush, and I'm just going to take this dark gray brown shadow from the Shade and Light palette. I'm just going to use this to create the smoked out wings that she has going on. So instead of eyeliner, this is what I'm going to be using. It just gives a softer look, and the wings that she has aren't really black, so that's why I chose to just go with a darker brownish gray. So I'm just sketching out the wing shape with this angled brush, and I'm going up to almost meet with the eyeshadow that we put in the crease. I'm just going to extend this onto my lid, about 1/3 of the way onto my lid, and then I'm going to blend it out with a small Real Techniques eyeshadow brush. And then I'm just taking a black eyeshadow and I'm just going to run this along the very outer corner of the winged eyeliner, just to kind of deepen up the outer part of it. And I'm just slightly blending this in so it creates kind of a gradient look. I'm dusting out any fallout with a big fluffy brush, and then I'm just going to continue that dark gray eyeshadow underneath my lash line. So I'm at first applying it with that same Real Techniques fluffy brush, and then I'm just going back in with the angled brush. Then I'm just switching back to the other brush to blend it out a little bit. And Lady Gaga has a mole right underneath her eye, so I'm just applying that with some black eyeshadow. I decided to darken up the crease a little bit after I put the eyeliner on, so that's what I'm doing right now. And then I'm just going back to my lower lash line and I'm taking the 2 eyeshadows that we used on the lid, and I'm just going to use that to blend out the lower lash line. I'm taking this almost white shade and I'm just going to apply this in the inner corners of my eyes for a highlighted effect, and I'm going to also place this underneath my brow bone as well. So this step is completely optional, but I noticed that Gaga's lids look a little bit glossy, so I'm taking this clear lip gloss by Pony Cosmetics. I'm just taking a little bit on my finger and then dabbing it over my lids. So now I'm going to move on to contouring my nose, and I'm not going to do anything super extreme with this, but I'm just taking that same Inglot powder, and this is a Smith Cosmetics highlighting brush, and I'm just going to run this along the sides of my nose. I'm not really trying to change the shape of my nose as much, I'm just kind of making it look a little more pronounced because hers is very strong looking. And I'm not bringing it all the way up to the top of my nose because mine's a little bit narrow up there, so I don't want to draw attention to that. I'm just focusing on the bottom 2/3 or so. Then I'm just going to blend it out. And then I'm going to take my beauty blender and whatever powder was left over on it and just use that to blend it out even more. Moving on to mascara, I'm going to use my Pony Cosmetics The White Night Mascara. She doesn't look like she was wearing any false lashes, so I decided to skip those. I'm just applying this mascara pretty lightly to my top and lower lashes. So for lipstick, I decided to go with just a pure red. This is one of the Sephora cream lip stains. I'm just applying this as well as I can with the applicator, and then I'm taking a smaller brush. This is by Real Techniques. I'm just going to really use this to give my lips the shape that Gaga has. So she has a pretty defined Cupid's bow, but it's spaced out a little bit. It's not super close together, and they're not really pointed, but they're not really round either. So you're just going to want to look at your reference photo and try to make your lips the same shape that hers are. They also looked a little bit glossy, so I'm taking that same lip gloss and I'm just dabbing a little bit in the center and blending it out. So now for the bloody part, I'm just taking this Stage Blood by Ben Nye. I'm just going to dip my fingers in this and honestly just rub it all over my neck. And if you guys don't want this to get all over your clothes, if you want it to be a little less messy, you can use just a red water activated paint. It's going to stay on a lot longer and it won't smear all over your clothes once it's dry. Also just going to take a tiny brush, dip it in that vial of blood, and then just make a drop of blood coming out of my mouth. Alright, so now I'm taking this Thick Blood by Ben Nye, which is just honestly really thick, pasty blood. I'm just going to apply just a few chunks of it on my neck, as gross as that sounds, but you know what? If you're eating people, I'm sure you're going to come across a clot or two. Alright guys, so that's it for my Countess makeup tutorial from American Horror Story Hotel. Hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!